This is Maurice Jones-Drew, and you're listening to the What's Bruin Show.
You're listening to the What's Bruin Show, part of the What's Bruin Show network, with your hosts, Jake Berryfield and Mike Regalado, and occasionally some friends, talking all things UCLA sports. And now, it's time for the What's Bruin Show.
Well, hello, and welcome to What's Bruin. I am your host, Jake Berryfield, and I'm joined by my good friend, Mike Regalado from Bruin Report Online. Mikey, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. How you doing, Jake?
Mike Regalado.
It is a
nice.
Yeah, it is an MJ edition.
The ceiling is the roof.
The MJ edition.
And it is. We're on the eve of some March Madness that we're not going to take a part of in a traditional sense with our men's team, but the women are looking good. We're going to talk about that on today's show for the most part, and a little bit of football, a couple emails, and that'll be that. This is the What's Bruin Show on the What's Bruin Show Network on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, at What's Bruin Show. Email is what'sbruinshow@gmail.com, what'sbruin.substack.com for all my alt-right followers. You can also search us on YouTube, What's Bruin Show, and you'll see a slideshow with the audio of the show on there. We appreciate your support. Please follow us on those things because that'll help us out a little bit. And also, you can get What's Bruin Show merchandise on a My Locker site. Look in the show notes of this episode. And also, you can call the hotline, 805-399-4WBS.
4WBS.
Sucker in Troy. Yeah. Yes, exactly. And if you can't tell, Mike is on the FaceTime today. I'm looking at him. You can hear him, but he's not in the studio. So I apologize. We apologize in advance for any, sound delays or anything, but it shouldn't be too bad. Also, I apologize in advance for my stupid dogs barking because it's like not now that, we've gone through the daylight saving time and now it's darker later, which I like. Mike, you prefer that too as well, I'm sure.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, we both.
Despite being a child of the night, yeah.
Yeah. Summertime is better. It's better to delay this.
Oh, hell yeah!
It's better to delay the evening. But with that being said, now my neighborhood is more active at this hour of night than it would be during the winter time. So now my dogs go outside and bark at everything, and the What's Bruin Studios, of course, is my garage, and they're like right outside. So if you hear some barking, we do have some nice microphones that are pretty directed, but I apologize in advance for that. Mikey, what's going on, man?
No, nothing much. I will say this about the time change. When it's lighter later, I don't mind it being pitch black when I leave in the morning.
Yeah,
I'll take that because honestly, 15 minutes into my ride, the sun's coming up. It's light. We're good. We're all good. So yeah, no, I love this. And today's the first day of spring.
Yeah, I'll do you one better, man. I really enjoy being dark when I wake up because then I go for a walk or a jog around the neighborhood, and I get to be up on the hills where I live at sunrise, and I get some really nice morning light. Whereas, in the winter, it's already light when I get up, so I don't get that nice little sunrise thing going. So yes, very good stuff, and I'll put one of those in the show notes as well for the Substack. We'll be putting some pictures on there. Mikey, I do want to just get right to it, but with that being said, do you have any BROfiliated headlines for us tonight before we get to the basketball talk?
I guess really the only thing, if we're not going to get too deep into, football talk tonight, I do want to talk a little bit about what Deshaun Foster said at Pro Day.
Well, why don't we just do that right now with some BROfiliated headlines with Mike?
Iron Mike. Big applause, Big Mike.
So you were out at the Pro Day, and you talked to new head coach Deshaun Foster, who is, UCLA's been sending out email after email about Deshaun Foster. He's showing up at basketball games. He's holding his Pro Day. He's on the cover of the new alumni magazine that just came out. I got in the mail a couple days ago, the official magazine of UCLA Athletics, Bruin Blue. I guess that's the the athletic club magazine. But he's on there, handsome guy, holding a football. One foot up next to a football helmet. It's a beautiful picture. Nice blue suit too, and some white sneakers, no socks, or just little ankle socks. Yeah, I don't know. He's got style, as we would expect. But you interviewed him at at UCLA Pro Day. What do you think? What do you want to talk about?
It was really interesting because obviously he didn't want to take away too much from actual pro day, which a lot of guys really showed up and showed scouts what they could do. And I think, if anything, the one that did possibly come away with a higher stock was Alex Johnson, who just showed how quick he was, how quick he is, and how much better his hands are. I kind of made the joke that, hey, I was going to ask them, but, I know the NFL works a lot different than college. I'm like, well, since you've been working on your hands, you're going to try out for receiver. But no, we all love the Alex Johnson, a former walk-on who just, made his way, into our hearts and is just a very well-spoken dude. So I hope that his stock goes up. But yeah, just for the most part, we saw, what was it? Gabriel Murphy was at the combine, but Grayson wasn't. So Grayson had a chance to show what he can do, similar to his brother. I mean, they're twins and they actually look, pretty freaking similar physically, which is, I wondered why Grayson did not get the invitation to the combine, but so, but anyway, going back to Deshaun Foster, he started off with talking about pro day and how, Carl Jones was pretty impressive and the guys that I just mentioned. But I did ask him, I don't remember if I said it to you personally or if I said it on one of these podcasts, but the first time I got it, I would be able to talk to him. I wanted to ask him about the offense. And sure enough, he said they are going to be running a West Coast style offense. He wants to utilize the receivers more. And he knows that he has a fantastic, running back in his arsenal already. So that was pretty interesting. Exactly.
That guy.
So really quickly, for Bruin fans that may not remember the West Coast offense, long story short, it's just kind of like a short pattern style of offense in which you can really spread out the field. Carl Durrell used it not well. So hopefully Eric Bieniemy and Deshaun Foster will be able to, put it to better use, especially with the talent that they have.
Yeah, I think
Jake, really quickly.
Yeah,
I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on UCLA transitioning to whatever the hell Chip Kelly ran, the non blur to this now West Coast offense?
Yeah, I don't know. I will have to wait until we see what it actually is because it can mean many things, obviously. But I mean, if you trigger what has been the West Coast offense for the last 20 years, Mike, yeah, you're talking about short passes. You're talking about running the ball and trying to opening up things down the field predicated on that. But you could the biggest thing. I would say the biggest baggage that West Coast offense has in relation to college football has always been the immense playbooks and the overly complicated. I don't know about overly, but for college purposes, generally overly complicated terminology that goes along with it. So I mean, I have zero problem if they're going to be running West Coast concepts for this offense as long as they have a reliable, efficient, easy way for the players at this level to digest it. And that was the problem with Durrell for a big part of it. Obviously, that team that had all of that, all those seniors with Maurice Jones-Drew, all those seniors plus Maurice Jones-Drew, Mercedes Lewis and Drew Olson, all those guys. They had to grow into a peak year with that Durrell West Coast offense, but generally it was stuck in the mud most of the time. And then I think to the biggest horror story in relation to a quote unquote NFL offense or a quote unquote West Coast offense, I think that Kenny Polamalu also would have to have that label on that. I just remember him coming in and going from the overly simple, like the 7-play offense of the end zone offense from Noel Mazzoni, going to in the offseason, we're talking about how thick the playbook was and all that stuff, and how that was a harbinger of doom for UCLA football in Josh Rosen's his second year. So that is the concern when I hear about it. But it's only a concern at this point. It's not really. I wouldn't even label it as a red flag. I don't think we can still make any judgments on how good or bad this offense will be. We do know that there's a lot of NFL talent in the coaching staff. And we do know that they have some dudes that we think are going to be pretty good on offense. Even though it sounds like we're losing one of my favorites, possibly coming up. If that report is right, I'll ask you about that in a minute. but I would just say, best case scenario, Eric Bieniemy is still a great motivator and a good X's and O's coach, and the rest of the coaching staff, and they get the most out of the talent that we know that they have on offense, because we know there is talent on offense, even though they underperformed last year for a variety of reasons. Kyle Ford, what was that bulletin? You saw that, Mikey?
Yeah, he put his name in the transfer portal. He actually transferred to UCLA before last season from USC. Yeah. And it's interesting timing. And, again, whenever we talk about players transferring out, we're classy. We've never said, oh, that guy, he makes me mad. No, like he wants to find a situation that best fits him. So,
sorry,
okay, there's some exceptions.
That's overly long, yeah. F that guy though, right? Right.
Jalen Phillips at UCLA.
Oh yeah, we're real classy about that
whatever,
guy too. Whatever, that guy.
But it didn't work with him and Kelly, and then it's weird that Kelly leaves after that. So again, I'm not going to hate on him.
Me neither. Wait, which him are we talking about? Are we talking about Moore, or are we back around to Ford?
Both of them.
Oh, okay. I'm really sad to see Ford go. I'm really sad to see Ford go.
Yeah, I that's the thing. Chip Kelly's offense has been run based, and even though they didn't have elite throwing prowess on offense last year, and even with DTR, he didn't have the greatest arm, but obviously he was quite a threat with his legs. And you have Charbonnet and Britton over the years.
Mikey,
it was complete running game.
Mikey, the DTR had a perfectly fine arm, and he could the problem was for the first 3 years he was throwing it, he was throwing balls through people instead of at people, but.
Oh yeah, no doubt. But it was
Ford,
definitely a run-based offense, and I think that I think he was underused. That's my point.
There's no doubt about it. And he was underused because Dante Moore was too green to take advantage of what they had on the outside. It is a shame. It's kind of like this sliding doors sort of thing, where it's like if Kyle Ford and J. Mike had been at UCLA for DTR senior year, they probably the passing stats probably would have been inverted. Instead of being heavy in the middle, they probably would have been much more balanced to leaning towards the outside with those guys. I have no doubt in my mind that if they had a serviceable quarterback for most of last year, they would have taken advantage of those dudes. But the fact is they didn't. And you could understand exactly why Kyle Ford was disappointed with how he was used. And so he's bouncing. We'll see where he bounces. I'd say anywhere but going back to SC would be, that'd be the only thing that would make me double sad. But I guess
right.
I don't want him to go to Oregon either.
Back.
Yeah, I don't want him to go to Oregon either. But other than that, go and be a happy person somewhere, and we wish you luck.
Yeah, wherever he goes, he's probably going to win a championship, right?
Jesus. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But
yeah, the Kyle Ford is gone, and
and now there's a motorcycle outside. I don't get what's going on in my cul-de-sac today. Anywho.
Dude, yeah. The people are out and about today. There was a rocket streaking across the sky last night.
That was awesome.
You saw it, huh?
Oh yeah. Right when I got off work, I'm like, oh shit, what's that?
Yeah, I came out of the store. I look up. I'm like, are we being invaded, or is Alon tinkering with his toys?
I think both. Yeah.
Which it was, that's actually what it was.
Yeah. I'm starting to see Cybertrucks all over the place now. He's taking over.
You have? I was wondering about that. I haven't seen one yet.
I've seen 4 of them. They're pretty sweet.
I've seen a lot of them fail on the socials. So
crashing into things?
I saw one the other day where the Cybertruck tried to go off-road and into a puddle, and as soon as it came out of the puddle, all of a sudden you could hear this weird humming, and the electrical system was kind of flashing. I was like, oh,
that's sick.
Yeah.
Well, they are something to see when you see them in person. I'll tell you that. Mikey, there is no way for you to kill the cricket that's in your studio, is there?
Oh, you can hear that? Yeah, that's actually that's an outside situation. You can hear that? That's awesome. I was talking to someone else the other day, and they're like, "Oh, Mikey, wow, spring has hit you guys because they can hear that cricket clearly."
Here, Mike, be quiet for me. I'll tell you what it sounds like.
Okay.
It sounds just like that.
Yeah, that's crazy. You know what? I'm just not used to it.
Yeah, that's all right.
Just as soon as the sun comes out, all the mosquitoes are out already too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Darn it.
Keep your head on a swivel. All right, are we done with the
Freaking hell,
BROfiliated
man.
headlines with Mike?
Yes, we are.
Okay, let's get to basketball talk. I want to start with the women, Mike, so because they're the ones actually doing stuff. That's cool. So
Yes.
let's get to that, and then we'll get to the men after that.
Okay.
Women's. What's the delay? It's women's basketball.
My little off.
For our good friend Nancy and everybody else. Let's go. Mikey, first of all, we talked about them, getting bounced out of the tournament on the double overtime last week, so we need to rehash that. But we had some fun things happening with the team and with you, and that is that you got to go to Selection Sunday. That was over. Was it the Luskin, or where was it?
That was actually in the Moawson Center.
Moawson,
yes,
okay,
and
yeah.
it was the Selection Sunday viewing event hosted by Men of Westwood, which has its own NIL collective for the women's basketball team called the Champion of Westwood. And I got to take my kids there. They had activities for families and the kids. They had some free food. They had like a nacho bar. Not like a full buffet or anything, but
some apps.
You could. All the players were just walking around saying hi to everybody. And the funniest thing, this year, so like my kids know, because I talk about them quite a bit. They know about football players, UCLA football players, men's basketball players, women's basketball players.
Yeah, if I want to quote Poppy. She says, "God damn, Dad, shut the hell up. You talk about them incessantly." Isn't that what she said?
A little bit. She's the quiet one, but oh, dude, another side note. I went to my sister's on. I'm going to say this for What's Brewing. This is funny as shit.
Fair enough.
With my daughter Poppy. But so we get there, and Poppy's she's just kind of like she observes. She's quiet and she observes. Hugo, he was just like wide-eyed, going, "Oh my God, I'm inside the UCLA basketball center."
That's super
and
cool.
Violet plays it a little cool. She's a 14-year-old, teenager, but she knows. Like, she's watched a few games with me, and we saw Charisma Osborne and Kiki Rice and Lauren Betts, and she's telling me, Dad, there's Lauren, there's London Jones. I'm like, hey, do you want to go say hi to her? And she was like totally starstruck. It was the cutest thing.
Oh, that's awesome. That's very cool.
But I'm like, we can go say hi real quick. And so they were a little shy, so we're doing all the activities, and then Coach Close comes up and says hi to me, and I introduced them introduce Coach Close to the kids, and they were just kind of like, "Oh wow, we've seen you on TV."
That's awesome.
So that was cool. But yeah, so I was at the event. Obviously,
did you put the kids to
men's
work?
Selection. A little bit, but I don't want that. Yeah, we took the video cameras and the camera, but I basically did everything on my iPhone, just because that's the quickest way to get stuff onto the internet for me. And so when the show started, I guess Close was tipped off to the where they were going to be selected. She referenced it. She goes, we might be around the number 2 seed in the Albany regions, and sure enough, in Albany too, Bruins come up as the number 2 seed. The team was quite excited about it, and why would you not? That's the highest seeding in the NCAA tournament that the Bruins have had. And I actually have an article coming out which talks about how this is such a successful season, and they've earned so much here and there, but it could have easily been so much more. But
as you've said,
too much into that.
As you've said many times, you wanted them to come home with some hardware in this particular year, which they still could.
Yes, yeah,
but
and that's going to be part of what my
they've picked the toughest hardware to get by how the season has unfolded. Okay, so very cool. So, how far in advance was Coach Close telling you where she thought they were going to land?
It was literally 5 minutes before the selection show started.
Interesting.
Because she said during the commercial breaks, because they had it on the big, they had this huge, I got to say it was 80-inch. I don't know what the exact model sizes for TVs, but it was a very large TV that was mounted on at the top of one of the walls. So everybody was, their sight was directed towards that. And whenever they went to commercial, Coach Close talked about, this region and, hey, come up, Charisma, Gabriella, Lauren, talk about blah, blah, blah. And then when they announced the Bruins, obviously they were very excited. It was funny too, because during when USC was announced as the number 1 seed, you could just hear there was no very loud boo, but there was
yeah,
it's
a little bit of quiet hate,
bit of a hissing, and it was funny because there was a commercial with USC later in the hour, and they were going to turn the volume. They were turning down the volume for all of the commercial breaks anyway. So when they finally did, Corey goes, we don't need to hear about that right now anyway. So blah, 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 blah. That was pretty funny. But so the Bruins are number 2 in the Albany 2 region, which it's weird because I don't know if you've looked at the women's bracket yet, but there were a lot of questionable seedings for me. The biggest question is how the hell is Texas a number 1 seed? If anything, I personally thought Stanford should have had that number 1 seed, but they also talked about with the Pac-12 having 7 teams in the tournament, they really needed to spread it out, which is, they didn't say it outright, but it kind of alluded to the fact that that's why Stanford is a number 2. That's why UCLA is a number 2 in the Albany. So it was whatever.
Yeah,
the point being,
there's 2
UCLA just has to win.
Yeah, there's 2 Pac-12 teams in, I guess, only in 2 of the brackets. So over in Regional 4 in Portland, you got Stanford and Utah over there. Stanford being the did I have that right? No, I think I said that wrong. Utah's over there with somebody. Yeah, Stanford. Yeah, Stanford 2 and Utah over there in the 4. In Regional 1, it's just Oregon State over there at a 3 seed. And in Regional 2, it's UCLA and Colorado the 5, UCLA the 2. And then over in Portland 3, you got USC over there by themselves. But yeah, so interesting. And then Arizona is in the first 4. Where does that feed into? I guess that might feed into the USC side, right? Yeah,
that goes to one of the number 1 seeds, I believe. Yeah, is it the USC? No, it can't be because they're trying to separate it. Where is it? And all of these.
Yeah, it goes into the Baylor matchup with Baylor. So that would put so USC, if Arizona wins, they're going to be in there with USC. So all but one of the regionals has 2 Pac-12 teams in it. So there you go. Now we're thinking out loud. So what do you actually think of UCLA's draw then, Mikey? So they're playing Cal Baptist, in their opening game, and then that's going to lead them into a 7-10 with Creighton or UNLV. And then, possibly if it's chalk in the bracket they continue to hold, they're probably going to face something like LSU or Louisville. And then from there, if they win that, then it looks like they're, possibly
Iowa's
Iowa's the number 1 on their side. So that could be a huge matchup with Caton Clark to get into the Final Four. So what do you think of the draw overall with the teams in their particular regional in the Albany 2?
Well, when I saw this, I had, one thought, and then it was validated by all of the pundits saying that the Albany 2 region is basically the bracket of death. As you just said, UCLA, LSU, Louisville, Colorado even. Colorado is one of the top teams. They've been ranked in the top 25 for most of the season. They're a number 5 draw, but they're still pretty freaking dangerous. And then Iowa. What the hell? So I've talked about how UCLA has to get some hardware, as you just said, and
hardware for you would be a Final Four
banner.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. Success. Some recognition, something that they can display. Just an achievement, especially since they haven't had it before, and especially considering that UCLA has gone to several Sweet 16s and won Elite 8 in the last 6 years. With this being Corey Close's most talented and deepest team, they need to come away with something for it. So Yeah, it is pressure time. Not that it's on me. I'm just a podcaster that writes about, that also writes about basketball on the Bruin Reports. But, I'm just going to say it. They need to get to the Final Four to show that they have arrived. They are another team to be recognized and not to be messed with. And not just, another, just a good team. They need to show that they're a great team because they have been a really great team this season, and they need to show something for it. But man, that is a treacherous. That is a hell of a bracket right there.
So what? I have a feeling you're going to pick them over Cal Baptist. And then, do you know anything about Creighton or UNLV to think about that? Or are we, what do you think about just their odds of getting back to a Sweet 16? I mean, there are 2 seeds, so they'll be favored to get back to a Sweet 16. How do you feel about the teams that they're going to be facing?
Yeah, I'm still researching a lot of the teams. UNLV, I've read up on. They're actually pretty good, a pretty scrappy team, and I actually have them beating Creighton. Creighton, I do need to read up a little bit more on, but. And even Cal Baptist. Cal Baptist went 28-3, but they were in a lesser conference. And there's a reason that they're the number 15 seed in this bracket. I think UCLA, which their first game is Saturday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific. And at 4 p.m. the game before is Creighton and UNLV. So I think that UCLA will take down Cal Baptist, and then on Monday, I'm predicting they will defeat UNLV. And then that's when it gets interesting the following week, because I have, as you said, Louisville and LSU. I'm sorry. I have LSU beating Louisville going into that Sweet 16 matchup. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. We're definitely going to have a lot more to talk about next week. But right now, it just seems like I'm not going to say easy trip to the Sweet 16, but they need to be prepared, and they have been. I mean, this is a team that has defeated multiple top 25 squads, and they should definitely have no problem.
Yeah,
but that's going to be a really interesting matchup with LSU.
Well, just to give you an idea,
potentially,
go ahead.
A lot of people know this, but the Gecko.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I do have Colorado and Iowa meeting in the Sweet 16. So that'll be the other side of the bracket for me.
Okay. Well, I mean, you are talking about a UCLA team that what's the worst loss of the season that they've had? They've lost to one unranked team, right? That would be Washington State.
But Washington State was actually really good. They were, I think at the time they were like 27th in the nation, receiving votes.
Well, that's kind of my point, right?
So they're not horrible. Yeah.
The Bruins were in, what have to be, if not the toughest league in women's college basketball. Certainly, no worse than, one of the best, right? It's right there at the top with all these ranked teams. And all season long, even though there were losses that were tremendously disappointing to us, they still lost to, they have 6 losses, all of them to ranked teams, except for one against a team that was pretty darn good that ended up, but not, Washington State didn't make the tournament, did they? I don't think they did.
Who?
Washington State, the Cougs? No, they didn't.
No.
But the point being is that, you're looking at the, how good these teams have been all year long and how many times they've had letdowns. And really, the Bruins haven't had too many letdowns other than games in which they were without some of their players, right? You talk about the game, when they were down a couple of players.
I was going to say that Stanford game was the worst, but like you said, they were without 4 players, including Lauren Betts, their nationally recognized center. And they lost by 20, but again, they were down 4 players, one very important. But
and health-wise, they're looking pretty good, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm breaking news here. She was walking around fine, and I'm sure it's just a precaution for safety reasons for rest. But I did see Lauren Betts on one of those walking scooters with her knee propped. Yeah, but she was walking around fine after that. Again, it's been a long season. They had an extra week
What a shame.
to relax, and I'm
What a
sure
shame.
that it's
What a
just
shame.
precaution. But yeah, she was walking around fine. But yeah, I was like, when I first
Wait,
saw that, I'm
she
like,
was walking
oh,
around
no.
fine, but she was pushing around a scooter?
With going around on a scooter. And then when all the events happened, she was walking around fine. Again, just getting rest. So.
All right, Mike, that's worrisome. You just worried me.
Well, I mean,
you gave me
consider
some worry,
the
Mike.
fact that Jake, don't be
You're
worried.
freaking me out, man.
We're going to have Sweet 16 talk next week.
Okay,
I guarantee it.
Oh,
I guarantee it.
Great. No, geez.
Sounds rumpy pumpy.
Don't do that. That's okay, though. All right.
All right, I take that back. But
yeah. Anywho, I do want to ask about what the game is at 6:30 on Saturday night.
Yes.
Do we know what attendance is like? How the ticket sales have been? Are the tickets available? How much is it to get into this darn event? If you want to go.
Well, the new football coach put out a quick video for the women's basketball team. So he's telling you to get out there. So I'm pretty sure that there's going to be some football presence there. But UCLA just released the link on Monday night, last night. And so, yeah, tickets are available for purchase. And I'm not sure. It should be for both games.
That's what it's looking like. Let's see. Tournament package. I have it up online right now. And let's see. Like you could get in onto the floor for $35.
Yeah.
So I mean that's pretty darn good.
And does it say it's general admission?
General admission seating. Yeah.
So what that means is that except for the seating across, where the seating that is always on TV, basically that north side of Poly and the lower bowl, everything outside of that is general admission. So if you're on the den side, where the den's not there during the women's basketball games, get there early because you could potentially get some front row seats.
That's very cool. Yeah. So this basically looks like actually $30 just period. All right, plus a $5 ticket fee, and that's just everywhere general admission, like Mike was saying. Okay, so hey, that's something to do too. So if you're around on Saturday night, which I thought it was going to be gone, but now I'm not, so maybe I'll cruise.
And Monday.
And Monday as well. Although I will be occupado on Monday probably. So we'll see. But that doesn't mean you guys can't go. So get out there and go support the women, because hey, well, you got nothing else to root for, right? Because guess what?
Now, really quickly.
Or what?
Huh?
You got more women?
Oh, go ahead.
No, I said you got more women.
I just wanted to ask you one quick question. Or two, actually, two.
No.
Do you think, knowing the path, especially with, let's say that they get past these first two games, do they A, get past LSU, and B, get past Iowa / what I believe will be Colorado?
You think that Colorado's going to beat Iowa?
I'm just putting them in the other bracket. No, fuck it. Let's say Iowa. Do you think UCLA can get past LSU and Iowa to get into the Final Four?
Oh, I think they can get past anybody because they've shown they can beat anybody. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I've watched a bunch of LSU because I haven't. I'm not going to sit here and say I've watched a ton of Iowa, although I've been bombarded with Caitlin Clark highlights for the last 2 weeks. And literally at my job, I had at least 5 people that were obsessed with her, as their season came to an end. So she's certainly the buzz. I hope, I really hope that the tournament doesn't just become about her, because I heard that ESPN is going to have, they got, who was it? Name some of the elder statesmen, lady reporters over at ESPN, Mike. Gosh darn it.
Holly Rowe.
Susie Schuster, Holly Rowe. I can't remember who it is, but one of them. No, I think it's either Rowe or Schuster, but one of them are being like assigned to cover Iowa through the tournament, which I think is assigned to cover her through the tournament. So I hope it doesn't turn into the Caitlin Clark tournament challenge. Obviously she deserves her respect and she's fantastic and she's going to be a great pro and all that stuff. But they need to, ESPN
Make it about the teams.
ESPN freaking sucks when they don't celebrate all of the teams involved, right? So let's do that. And that's not just for UCLA. I'm saying let's get if you want to cover women's basketball, let's cover more than just one story. But whatever. I mean, I imagine they're going to. Wait, is the whole tourney? Are these what channel are all these games on, Mikey? Do we know? ESPN 2, ESPN 2, ABC. This is all ESPN property. So
it's boy. It's ruled by the mouse. So
so that's fine. But like I said, let's try to give CBS and those networks have always done a great job of giving balanced coverage to all the teams involved because there's a whole bunch of teams. So let's cross our fingers and hope that ESPN does the same. But to get back to your original question, I don't know. I think they could beat anybody, and we're expecting them to get to the Final Four. So, hey, let's go do it, right? I'm what
Now, Jake.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, just really quickly, what are your 4 teams for the Final Four in the women's? Quickly peruse. I will tell you what I think. I actually think UCLA will get to the Final Four if there's no Caitlin Clark. She breathed on me. Foul. I think it will be UCLA, UConn, Stanford, and it's South Carolina. And I believe South Carolina is going to take down Stanford.
Suck at Stanford.
Yeah.
Suck at
UCLA. UCLA will take down UConn. But unfortunately, South Carolina will probably take down UCLA in the championship game.
UCLA losing to USC?
I said it.
What a dick you are, Mike. What a jerk.
Well,
you have them losing to USC? You rat bastard.
Good USC.
Yeah,
good USC.
Yeah. Okay. Mike, honestly, to be honest with you, I don't know. I could throw out some random picks for this. I mean, obviously, I want UCLA in the Final Four. I agree with you. I think South Carolina is going to be there. I'll root for the Trees to make it past Texas if they make it that far. And in the other bracket, I'm not going to root for the Trojans. I want the Lady Trojans to go out early, just like with anything else. There's no solidarity for me here. So let's say Ohio State, go Buckeyes. But other than that, I don't know. I don't know nothing about nothing with this. So I'm just looking for great games from the Bruins is all I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So
cool.
That's just me spitballing it. All right, Mike. Well, let's get to this symposium and then we'll talk men's basketball and then we'll get on with this nonsense. Okay.
All right, cool.
Do you think we drink too much?
No, we don't drink too much. Men face reality, women don't. That's why men need to drink.
I hate it when podcasters talk about what they're drinking.
What else am I going to drink, Bob? A fucking Fresca?
No Fresca tonight. It is, of course, the What's Bruin Symposium on the What's Bruin Show Network. Symposium is a conversation over drinks, and I just poured myself a nice one that I'm going to tell you about in a minute. But we appreciate your support here on the What's Bruin Show. You can support us on Patreon, whatsbruinshow.com, or patreon.com/whatsbruinshow, or on the Substack, whatsbruin.substack.com for about how much, Mike?
$2.
$2.
Or a little bit more, depending on what site you're paying. But that just kind of helps keeps us afloat. Not trying to do anything other than just keep the lights on right now as I'm heading towards retirement and maybe a full-time What's Bruin Show. We'll see. And Mikey's just doing his thing over there at the Bro.
Hi, bro.
But you guys supporting us and let us know you enjoy the show is very much appreciated. So support us on that Substack. Support us on that, what is it, the Patreon. And for how much, Mike, again? Once again?
$2.
$2.
Or a little bit more. But yeah, we thank you. Mikey, you're sitting over there. I can see on the FaceTime. You got some picture behind you. What's that picture behind you? That's Vin. That's Vin Scully.
It's Vin Scully.
That's an awesome picture.
This photographer, met him on the Twitters. Dylan Desaya, did really good stuff. He took a lot of photos for UCLA and then just kind of disappeared. No idea what happened to him. But one day I just commented on the photo that he took of Vin Scully. I think it was the season before his retirement. And it's just this beautiful shot of the back of his head with Dodger Stadium in the background. And he goes, "Hey, thank you for saying you like the photo. Can I send you a print?" I'm like, oh,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
When was that from?
It's a freaking sweet print. This has got to be at least 8 8 years old, maybe 7, 8 years old.
Where did you say that you liked his stuff on Twitter?
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
Dominic Desaya.
Yeah, that's a.
But yeah, all of a sudden he just kind of like disappeared. I'm like, I hope he's doing all right.
Yeah, me too. But that's still a pretty sweet picture, Mike. You're gonna have to send me a picture of that, and then I can put that up on our Substack because it's a pretty fun little picture.
Oh, cool. Yeah. You've never seen it? I swear I've showed you guys. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got Vin in back of me.
That's very cool. So, Mike, what are you drinking?
I have, okay, so, I complained about how I don't like fruit in a lot of, my stuff that's not sweet or anything, like salsa or beer.
Uh-huh.
But, my gosh, Voodoo Ranger does a fantastic job with their juices and their fruit IPAs. And this one is Voodoo Ranger, 9%. I'm at home today, so I can do that. Fruit Force. It's not overly sweet. It's not overly potent or has like a potent aroma. It's just nice. And especially on this nice spring, first night of spring, I was like, yeah, I'm going to have me one of those. What are you having?
Oh, very nice. I actually, in the last week, collected a new recipe that I stole from one of our local bars down the street that we went to for happy hour. Last week is another Lure, which is a local chain. I think it's a local chain. There's definitely more than one of them. But they had on their menu a Manhattan that they use a particular whiskey for. That I was like, oh, this tastes pretty good. And then I came home and I happened to see a bottle of it that I bought real quick, not super expensive. Picked it up and then I made it here myself. And I convinced myself that this is definitely my preferred combination for making a Manhattan. So therefore, I have now solidified. I think I've said it before. We have a What's Bruin Show old fashioned. Maybe I'll revisit that recipe at some point. But now we do have a What's Bruin Show Manhattan recipe, and I will share it with you now. I will also put this up on the Substack with a picture of it, along with the other pictures we put up for tonight's show. But this is the What's Bruin Show Manhattan. Number one, you got to start with a good vermouth, okay? For this one, I'm using Kochi Vermouth di Torino, but you also could use one of my other favorite vermouths, which is Antica, Carpano Antica. But don't buy the cheapest bottle of vermouth when you're going to make a nice Manhattan. Buy one that's at least, kind of mid-range, whatever. But those are two that I really, really like and that you can get pretty much anywhere. Number two, just as a side note, always, once you open up your bottle of vermouth, put it in the fridge. Store it in the fridge. Do not store it on your liquor cabinet at room temperature. It will go bad, and it will the flavor will degrade rather quickly. So once you open that bottle, put it in the fridge for storage. Okay, as a warning. Now, the recipe for this, the whiskey I'm using, it's a rye whiskey. I actually do not like this whiskey by itself. It is none other than High West Double Rye. I don't like this if you're just pouring me a glass over ice. Don't like it at all. In fact, I tried it a couple of years ago, and I'm like, it's not for me. Never bought another bottle. But in a Manhattan, it really, really, really goes well, in my opinion. So you get your glass, you get some ice, you put the ice in the glass, you put in 2 ounces of High West Double Rye, you put in 1 ounce of your whatever vermouth you're using, and then you put in not Angostura bitters, but go get yourself some black walnut bitters, and you put that in there. Okay? So real simple. 2 ounces of whiskey, 1 ounce of vermouth, a little bit of black walnut bitters. You stir it around, then you pour it over some ice, or you could have it, up in a nice martini glass if you like. But that is the What's Bruin combination for a Manhattan, and to me, it comes out real nice, and I really do enjoy it. So there you go. Mikey, any questions about that?
Sounds good to me, boss.
Thank you very much. Maybe I'll make you one next time you're here. And then when you don't like it, I'll drink yours. But that is the What's Bruin Show Manhattan recipe. Hope you enjoy that. Now, once again...
It's funny. People ask me, like, oh, you drink? I'm like, yeah, I drink. But I'm a beer guy.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, do you what else do you drink? I'm like, honestly, not much. And I tell them, like, maybe 4 times a year I'll have a whiskey, and they're all went up with you guys.
That's right. We appreciate that, Mike.
Yeah,
and that's okay.
But yeah, I mean, like you make a lot of interesting drinks, and I think that of all the drinks, there have maybe been like less than 5% where I was just like, yeah, this is not my bag. Other than that, I've been like, oh God, this is really good.
I appreciate that, Mike, because I don't think I've ever made a cocktail that Bill's like, because they're always too sweet for him, for whatever. Even when they're not sweet, they're actually bitter. He still's like, oh no, it's too sweet, Jake, which really sheds some light
What's weird
on mine and Bill's
stuff
relationship.
With stuff like that, if it's supposed to be sweet, you roll with the punches. You accept it. But
I totally agree.
You've also served me some more bitter
concoctions,
more very strong concoctions. Where it's I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I can't finish this because I got to drive home. But no, each drink has its place and its purpose. So, and I think you do a very good job of bringing that out with every drink.
I appreciate your support, Mike, and we appreciate, Mike and I collectively appreciate your support for the What's Bruin Show and the What's Bruin Symposium. And yes, thank you very much. So, Mikey, we came into last weekend. The men's basketball tournament was looming. The Pac-12 tournament, the last Pac-12 tournament, was looming. And the Bruins, we looked at their draw, and they had a chance to, maybe go all the way and make a long shot bid for the NCAA tournament. But did that happen?
It did not.
It did not. So, with that being said,
it ended with that pesky whimper.
Yeah. No, not with a bang, but with a whimper was the 2023-2024 UCLA men's basketball season. So let's start this off. I haven't played in a while, but let's get right to, sometimes it is hard to be a Bruin when UCLA basketball doesn't even make the darn tournament.
Sometimes it's hard to be a Bruin. Giving all your love to just one team.
Last week, the Bruins were able to get over their first-round matchup against the Beavs. They beat the Angry Beavs in their last matchup in the Pac-12, but they did run right into a duck wall and lost to Oregon in the second round of that tournament. What were your thoughts on either of those games, Mike, if you want to briefly recap that?
Yeah, it's funny because in my my weekly stat article this week, which has not been published yet. I haven't finished it up, but I didn't want to go too much into it because one, it's the Pac-12 tournament. Two, it's at this point with how it did end. What can you take from it? I mean, it's a postseason tournament, and UCLA did very well. There was a scary moments where Oregon State kind of came back. What was in the second half, but there was no reason UCLA should not have beaten Oregon State, which is the last place team in the Pac-12. So, not that UCLA struggled, but they had some good moments. The fact that you had Dylan Andrews just continued to put the team on his back, even when it just doesn't look like there's nothing to play for. I think he's proved, especially in the last month, that he's going to be a huge addition to this team, a huge contributor to this team next season. Yeah, part of the team. Then they go against Oregon. UCLA had some momentum in the first half, and all of a sudden, I was thinking, I was like, oh wow, they're going to beat Oregon again. This is going to be great. If they play like this in the second half, they're sure to win. Well, that didn't happen. Oregon went on a bit of a run. It was a little slow going, but then all of a sudden they rattled off like I think it was like a 22-5 run. And at that point, it did put UCLA behind the 8 ball, and it was not good at that point. And UCLA tried to, they fought to the end, but it just did not happen. Again, Bona was called for a few fouls, some suspicious looking, questionable fouls, if you ask me. I don't like to, harp on the bad officiating, But there were a few fouls where I was like, was that a foul? you sure you called the right player on that? But either way,
Mike's saying this
it
about
just
the
seemed
refs.
like
Sounds rumpy pumpy.
exactly. And it just, regardless, it just seemed like UCLA did not have enough in the tank for not only this game, but if they were to win this game, I think it would have been hard for them to beat Arizona.
I lost my mojo.
And that would have only been the semifinal game. Then they had to go against what probably would have been Colorado, who was in the championship game.
Mm-hmm.
But UCLA just looked a little bit gassed by the end of the quarterfinal game against Oregon, and then, as we know, Oregon went on to beat Arizona. Arizona had a huge lead, and then just fell flat on their face, and Oregon just sucker punched them at the end of the in the second half just to take the lead and go against Colorado and eventually get the Pac-12 tournament championship and that automatic bid into the NCAA tournament.
Well, at least we lost to the eventual Pac-12 tournament champions. We got that going for us.
Yeah, that's always good, I guess.
Not really. It doesn't feel right. No. It's terrible. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's so weird. Yeah, one of my buddies on the Twitters, Ignacio, said it just feels weird not, with the men's tournament happening and UCLA men's basketball is not in it. And
yeah, it's definitely a bummer.
It hit me in that moment. It's like, it's kind of like walking around in shoes without socks all day. You can do it. It just feels awkward.
Wait, are you talking about, are you impugning our head football coach, Deshaun Foster, who's on the cover of the UCLA official magazine of UC Athletics, Bruin Blue, in sneakers without socks? Is that what you're doing, Mike? Are you trying to draw the comparison?
Oh, I'm sure he has ankle socks.
All right, good.
But
make sure. No, I know what you're saying, Mike.
It was funny at Pro Day. Took me in from the LA Times and I were talking about Deshaun Foster's fashion.
He's just a baller, man.
And how look me. 95% of my wardrobe was black, but it's all different. They're all different styles. Yes, thank you, Jake. But Deshaun Foster, he not only wears all black all the time, but it's like he wears the exact same thing every single day. He's kind of like a superhero to where every morning he goes into his closet and he looks through his superhero uniforms and just, which are all exactly the same, and goes, which one should I wear today?
Hey, that's a sign of efficiency, right? He's not burning brain power on what to wear. He's got it all. He's not thinking about stuff.
He's not thinking about stuff that he doesn't have time for.
Yeah,
he needs to get on with his day.
All right. Back to the UCLA's terrible basketball team struggles.
Yeah, so UCLA finishes the season with a losing record. Only the 5th time in the last 75 years. I think that's the stat.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a whole off season we have to talk about what could become of the UCLA team. Guys transferring out, guys transferring in, Adem Bona potentially going to the NBA draft. There are even rumors that people are expecting Mick Cronin to accept a job at Louisville or Michigan, which
we got some worst possible timeline stuff going on, don't we?
Yeah, it's crazy. But if you have a chance to check out Bro, Tracy Pearson laid out why.
Bro.
Not that he would jump to it, but how it just seems just ridiculous. One, because Mick Cronin apparently loves the West Coast life. The job at UCLA, hell, why not? Just because this year didn't go well doesn't mean he's just going to go, oh, screw it, I'm out. He has a daughter who's a junior in a local Los Angeles high school. And his buyout is a huge issue. So unless whatever school is willing to pony up, I think it was $20 million, which, dear Lord, we're 5 years into his tenure, 5 or 6 years into his tenure, and it's still $20 million buyout. Wow. That's just a lot of stuff that has to go into all of these decisions. But I mean, honestly, I saw a lot of positives with this team, and I think with some more development in the offseason, everyone on this Bruin team, let's say they stay, I think they could make a very positive jump.
Even going to the Big
with
Ten?
the Bona. Yeah. Well, the Big Ten is not that great. Football, yes. Basketball, yeah. Outside
The
of
problem is there's
Iowa,
like 19 teams, so I mean it's not as great,
Exactly.
On the average. But there's some still good teams in there. So what are you going to say about Bona?
He has a big decision. Does he stay and try to collect NIL, or does he bolt to the NBA? That's a huge piece that Mick Cronin has to wait on to try to fill scholarship spots. Now, there's definitely the spot from Nuba, who he's exhausted his eligibility. But are there any potential transfers? Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 5? That's seriously going to affect what Mick Cronin has to do going into next season. So there's a lot of stuff up in the air, and I don't want to speculate right now. But, rightly so, Mick Cronin is already looking at the transfer portal, which opened yesterday, and will be open for the next 45 days. And it's going to be interesting to see, especially with teams dropping out of the tournaments.
Yeah.
What players go into the portal, after potential NCAA tournament losses.
Mikey, what do you think about the
portal? Is that good? Oh, let's try this one.
It is what it is.
What do you think about the transfer portal being right at the start of the NCAA tournament? Is that pretty stinking lame or what?
Yes, Mike?
Jake, say better, harder, faster, stronger.
Better, harder, faster, stronger.
Yes.
Don't. Sorry, I'm trying to get some Daft Punk up in there.
That's okay.
It is what it is. And at this point, might as well embrace it. I actually have liked it. I mean, we technically have had the transfer portal forever.
No, but do you like it at the start of the tournament? It seems like the dumbest thing in the world that they're going to have it like right.
Oh, at the start of the tournament.
Yeah, it seems so dumb. Like, do it in a couple weeks or something. It's so lame. Why would you have the portal opening up right when we're at the postseason? It's like it just seems so counterproductive to, and it's kind of like, why would you have the transfer portal up right when teams are going into like bowl season, too? It's like, why would you pick these spots for it's
yeah, I get it at that point.
It's
like
right
it should be after the season.
Activity is ramping up. I mean, what's the freaking do it in a couple weeks. It's so dumb.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can see how certain players on teams who are they're not going to be in the tournament at all.
Yeah.
So that would force them to wait a month before the end of the tournament or bowl season or what it is.
You don't have to go to the end of the tournament necessarily. Like I was listening to Ion College Basketball with Norlander and Gary Parrish, one of my favorite college basketball podcasts, other than ours, of course, because we do it right. But anyways,
we rock.
They're talking about Norlander's talking about you don't have to have it after the tournament, just in a couple weeks, like after the Elite Eight or something. That just seems so much better because then you're going to have most of the teams then will be out. And then you're not stepping on, you're not putting a burden on the coaches who are trying to coach the most important part of their season, number one, because college basketball has over the years, turned these couple of weeks into the most important part of their calendar, right? It's one of the biggest sporting events in the world. An outsized influence for men's college basketball for what it normally does throughout the rest of the year. Everybody's going to watch the NCAA tournament starting this week, starting tonight, really.
Yeah.
What's the harm in just doing it a couple weeks later when you're not going to be putting all of these coaches that are some of them coaching for their jobs, some of them are coaching for their first time in the tournament, some of them are coaching their last time in the tournament. It seems like and the players too, right? You're putting the players in a weird spot, I feel like. Mikey, what do you think about there's also the point of the NIT is there, and you heard Tom Crean come out, UCLA didn't get invited to the NIT. That's accurate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they would have...
No, they did get invited.
Oh, did they get invited?
They turned it down.
Oh, did they turn it down? Okay, well, I thought that they didn't even get invited. But, the fact that they turned it down, like, how do you feel about them turning it down? Like, normally we're like, oh, are we too good for that? What do you think about Tom Crean coming out and saying that, we shouldn't be too good to be going to the NIT? It's more games to play, more opportunity for these dudes to get their work in. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it too. I mean, if you want more time and if you want a chance to show what you have to develop, hey, take it. You can't really organize, when your season's over until I forget the date, but why not play some more? Get the team together. Say, hey, you know what? We're not in this tournament, but let's go show them what we got in this tournament. Yeah, I just think it's more time to bring your team together. So that's just me.
Well, I kind of feel the same way. At first, you're kind of snooty about, UCLA doesn't need to go to the NIT or whatever. But like for this group where it's a bunch of young guys running around, I don't know if they were kind of like done after the way this season kind of ended. They got pretty good, and then they're up and down throughout the whole season. But I think it's kind of a moot point when you talk about, well, what's a better use of Mick Cronin's time at this point? Is it coaching in the NIT with this current group, or looking at the dudes that just went into the weirdly open transfer portal and or trying to re-recruit the guys that are on his roster, right? It kind of really kind of puts a damper on teams, tying it back to the transfer portal, kind of put a damper on teams even going to the NIT. Because now you got to worry about your own roster and like who you're going to get for your roster next year, right? It puts too many things at once. It seems kind of dumb. That's kind of where I land on it.
No, I get that too. And, UCLA should be, if they were in the NCAA tournament, they would still be in full season mode right now. But now everything is halted to a stop. Sure, you transition to the off season and transfers, recruiting, and all that stuff. But, it'd be nice to see a few more games.
Yeah, I don't know. It just all comes back to the same point that the transfer portal is kind of dumb, and it's dumb in football, and now it's dumb in basketball. And
you're dumb, Jake.
Yeah, I know, right?
No, I get it. There are so many freaking problems with it.
But they haven't figured out.
To your point, the biggest problem is timing.
Yeah.
It's fine if people want to transfer and you want to make it easier for them to transfer. Just time it better.
Time it better, put some limits on it. Yeah, I think, they have to, there's going to be a lot of things they have to figure out with college sports in general, especially the ones that actually generate some money. So we'll see what happens. That's all completely up in the air, and this could all completely change in the next couple of years as it has continued to change. But why make, unforced errors like this? This just seems absolutely dumb, and it doesn't seem like it takes too much sense. We're not too bright, and we're looking at this going like this is just dumb. I don't know. I don't want to spend too much more time on it, but the bottom line is that it's too many things happening at once, and from every perspective, it should be different. But anyways, now that UCLA is not in any postseason play, the men's team, Mikey, do you have any thoughts on the roster going forward? Or you have any thoughts on who they need to bring in? I don't want to spend too much time on that either, but if you have anything you're thinking, think it now.
Just really quickly, like if they have a chance to develop these players, like for one, like I have no idea why Alain Fableu did not play at pretty much at all in the second half of the season. I thought he had great potential. Not sure what's going on behind the scenes, but I thought he was one of the more effective players early on. Burke, I think, has some talent. Mara as well. And Jan Vide showed he had some spunk in the last few games, the last 3 games UCLA played. But obviously they're going to be transfers. Not to speak for Mick Cronin, but I would not want to do another overhaul or have at the most, like I said before, if you have 1 or 2 guys transfer, cool. If there are like 5 guys that are transferring, that's going to suck because then he's going to have to reload all of those, probably with players that he, hopefully he gets players.
Yeah, we just freaking did that, man.
Exactly. That's the point. And it didn't work. If he has to do it again, I don't think that's going to be very good for next season. So I would try to retain as much as this roster as possible because they've showed flashes. And with the players that didn't know the Mick Cronin style, they do now. And if they're down with learning how to better themselves, I honestly think this team could be much better next season as a whole. But it would be nice to get maybe another shooter, maybe another post guy. That'd be cool.
That would be cool. All right. Well, look, there's your men's
that's
talk.
all I got.
All right, that's fine. The tournament in general, Mikey. We're not doing a bracket challenge. I loved how you tweeted out with the account, like, "Hey, should we do another bracket challenge?" And I'm like, on my own Twitter account, I'm like, "Yeah, maybe if you do it, Mike, because I ain't doing it." UCLA's on the tournament. What do I care about a freaking bracket challenge? That's kind of where I went on that. But
money, Jake. It's about money.
Yeah, well, and it's me about thinking about some other thing I got to give out as a prize. Which I'm sure I could come up with something over here. But I'll send somebody a Wembanyama card or something. But bottom line is we didn't do a tournament challenge this year. But what are your thoughts on the bracket as a whole? We spent a couple minutes doing that because I have a very strong take because my other alma mater made it into the tournament, and I'm very proud of them. Go Beach.
I wanted to ask you about that because
Yeah.
like it was announced that he's not coming back next year or something like that after being the longest tenured.
Dan Muntz have been there for like 17 freaking years. The Long Beach State they got to a point in the season where they were 18-9. Right, looking pretty good, coming off a win over Cal State Bakersfield, and then they lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games in a row, okay, to end the season, including losses to Santa Barbara, go Gauchos, which I'll be talking about in a few minutes, actually, the Aggies of Davis and the Anteaters. They lose to the Gauchos, the Anteaters, and the freaking the Aggies. So that's never good to end a season. So they were really in tough straits there. Munson is informed he's not coming back, but hey, you can still coach the tournament. Why not? And so he goes on to do that. And the guy, what do you know, wins their freaking conference tournament with wins over UCR, UC Irvine, who they just had lost to, and UC Davis, who they just lost to. And hey, there you go. Go Beach. They get themselves an NCAA tournament bid, and they're matched up as a 15 seed against the evil, terrible, horrible number 2 Arizona Wildcats. So, the Pac-12 in its final season as the Pac-12 ends up getting, how many teams they get in? Like four teams, I want to say. They end up with Arizona as the number 2 seed, which obviously is the highest hopes for the conference to go far, although we're all rooting for them to lose, I'm sure, Mikey. And then you got Oregon is an 11 seed over there in the Midwest. And who else we got? We got, I should know this. My apologies. Thanks for your help, Mike. You're really helping me.
No, it's right. It's so I'm actually looking at it. I was going to call them out.
Washington State's a 7 seed. And is that it? They just have the 3 teams? I thought they had 4.
Arizona's a 2 seed. We have...
that was really good. We should have worked this out beforehand. But, yeah. Anywho, that's the long and the short of it. I don't really care about anything in this tournament other than I want to see Long Beach State defeat the Arizona Wildcats. Is it going to happen? Probably not. But could it happen? Maybe. I mean, Arizona sucks. They suck a lot. Oh, you know what the problem is that Colorado's in the first 4, and they're actually going to play tomorrow.
Oh,
that's what it is. That's the 4th team, and they will funnel into the South. Okay, so that's it. Sorry. But yeah, I'm proud of Long Beach State. They did what UCLA couldn't do, and that is win their conference tournament after slumping hard, and went on a wild ride. And their coach as he said on Pitcher's Money yesterday, the day before, he's coaching for free, and it's just a hell of a story. So wouldn't it be great if they knocked off the Wildcats? That would make everybody happy over here in Bruin land.
If one beats Arizona, they need to just give Munson a lifetime contract. It's like, you know what? We were wrong.
It would be funny if they reconsidered that, because he said he wanted to come back to coaching. But I would say that's kind of a long shot. But crazier things have happened, I suppose.
Exactly.
With that being said, Mikey, we got Colorado in the tournament, as we said, Washington State, Oregon, and Arizona. I, for one, will not be rooting for Arizona in any way, shape, or form. But other than that, I hope the Pac-12 goes as far as they can. Which wouldn't be very far, by chalk rankings. They're all facing underdog rounds, really. Or Washington State's, I guess, favored in its first matchup, and then it's going to go up against Iowa State if they win their matchup. And then Colorado will go in as a 10 seed, so they'll be not favored in their matchup with Florida. But how do you feel about the last season of the Pac-12 in the NCAA tournament without UCLA, which is a bummer?
Horrible. Shut it all down. I don't care.
Yeah, right.
UCLA men's basketball not in the NCAA tournament is like walking around all day in shoes with no socks. You can do it. It's just awkward.
Nice, Mike. Nice callback on that one. I appreciate that. That's good. That's why
I thought it was good. I've been telling some people that.
That's good. It works. It does work. Except for the cover of Bruin Blue, the official magazine of UCLA athletics, with just got Sean Foster on there with no socks on. I don't see no ankle socks on there. I just see just straight up. I'm going to take a picture of that and put it up there, because I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it closely. I don't see no ankle socks. He's sitting there. It's like he's wearing like Perry topsiders, but they're not. They're just sneakers. He's got no socks. That's kind of weird. I don't know, but he's way more stylish than us, so I'm not going to impugn his style.
Fine.
You don't think that he is? You wear all black. You already copped to it.
Yeah, but as I said, he wears all black, the same thing. I wear all black of styles.
Okay, fair enough. All right, I'm willing to give that up, Mikey. Apparently, we need to have a fashion off. Zoolander versus Hansel, Deshaun Foster versus Mike Regalado. At some point during maybe you can do that.
Mike Regalado
during football camp. Mike, do you know how much football camp are they just going to let? We don't know yet what they're going to do with the media yet, do they?
Oh, we didn't talk about that.
There's not that much to talk about. It ain't started yet. It's going to start at some point.
But just the setup really quickly. I mean, you might as well finish off with this. They are basically having Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday practices all through April, except the 27th is the spring game, and then they have one practice after that, Tuesday. But the Friday, the week before, oh God, what date is it? I'll find it right now. They're doing something interesting called Friday Night Lights, in which they're having that specific practice happening at 6:30 p.m. On a Friday night. And Deshaun Foster said that was to allow fans and family members and anybody that wants to see practice that can't make 8:30 on a Tuesday or a Thursday to come down and check out what UCLA has to offer. And it's perfect timing because it's towards the end of spring ball, where things will be a lot more in swing. And I asked him about how did that idea originate, and he said that was actually something they did with Jim Mora. So I'm like, all right, a little bit of callback to the Mora era, but I think it's a pretty interesting setup. They haven't said where fans will be able to watch. They haven't said where media will be able to watch, but I can imagine it's going to be a little bit less constricting than during that other guy's tenure. It's funny. I was on
hard to not be
radio, Raider Nation Radio on Monday.
Excuse me.
And
you were on Raider Nation Radio.
Yeah, in Vegas. Yeah, it's weird. A lot of whenever I get invited to radio stations, they're actually really quick. It's like either the day before. You know Dan Lynch. He usually contacts me like day before or the morning before, and I'm like, oh, cool. So like it's very little time to get out notifications, but Q, who does Raider Nation Radio out in Vegas, you know, he wanted to talk about the combine and Deshaun Foster, and what was my point?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out why you're on radio, Raider Nation Radio, but that's okay.
They've had me before. We were talking about Pro Day, and last year, it was. Well, was it last year when Britton Brown was?
What can Brown do for you?
After he was drafted, Q out in Vegas asked me about him. You know what I thought about him, and since then we've kind of been loosely in contact on the Twitters.
That's nice.
And so he asked what was going on with Pro Day, especially Leatu Latu. But anyway, getting back to the point, I just think that UCLA is doing a really good job with just more outreach to the Bruin community, especially when it comes to spring, and having the spring game at the Rose Bowl. This is all good stuff. It's all good stuff. It's all hope. It's all a way to get the community back, connected with UCLA. That was my point. He asked me about
Jesus
Deshaun
God,
Foster.
Mike.
Get to the chopper!
No, I know. We're winding down. He asked me about Deshaun Foster, and at one point I said, yeah, he's doing more to outreach to the UCLA community than the other guy. And he started laughing. He goes, the other guy. I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to say his name.
Oh, wow. Now he's Voldemort. That's crazy.
Yeah, right.
Unbelievable.
Hey, but at least he's happy.
Anyway, enough time with that, Mike. Let's get to the Bill's favorite part of the show.
What's brewing with you? You ask me. What's brewing with me? Yeah. What's brewing with you? What's brewing with me? What's brewing with you?
All right, what's brewing with you?
So I alluded to this earlier in the show. This weekend, I went to go. Me and the kids went to go visit my sister, who lives down in Orange County, like deep Orange County. So, we don't get to see each other much, but when we do, it's pretty fun. And she absolutely loves her nieces and nephew. We basically spent all day out in Tustin. And I was like, you know what? Again, here, Jake, another Clue reference. I told my sister, because that was one of our favorite movies growing up. So when I told my sister Becky that the kids are absolutely in love with the movie Clue, she was just giddy. So we went over, had a day, went shopping, went to bookstores, hung out at her house, had dinner, and after dinner, we played Clue and also watched the movie Clue. So we're just doing one-liners back and forth, and my sister's just absolutely cracking up with the kids saying the one-liners, right on time. And she's like, "Oh my God, this is so amazing!" This is like we were kind of like reliving our own childhood. It also didn't help that my sister busted out a box of old photos of me when I was a kid, and I had my kids go, "Oh my God, you're so young!"
Oh, that's fun.
That's pretty fun. But we're playing Clue. And I told my sister Becky this before, because we both have said that my daughter Poppy, she's an observer. She's quiet, but she observes. And whenever something will come up that she doesn't that she knows is wrong, she will all of a sudden speak up and just go, "No, that is not right. This is what actually happened." It's pretty funny. I think she's going to be a lawyer when she grows up. But so I told Becky about the fact that whenever we play board games, she becomes a little bit of she becomes super sassy. And sure enough, she was just trying to own the board. She was just speaking it. She's just hilarious. And
a
at
real
one point,
competitor.
Oh my God, not only a competitor, but at one point she was like, "You know what? I give up. Hey, everybody, here are my." And my sister called her, "Oh my God." My sister said, "Oh my God, Drunk Poppy is hilarious." I'm like, "Holy shit." Is this a view into our future? But it was just really funny just to see how my kids kind of get competitive in random situations, which I really need to prepare myself for in the future. But it was actually pretty funny. it was a good day with my sister. And then we, the next day we went and, the kids were starry-eyed with the whole women's basketball selection show.
Yeah.
So it was a fun but exhausting weekend. But still, no, my daughter Poppy is freaking hilarious when in certain situations. But Jake, what's wrong with you?
No, that's awesome, man. That sounds like a fun way. It's really cool they got to go to that show, to the selection show. Real quickly, have a watch the show.
Watch this show.
Sorry about the dogs.
Jake. He watches too much TV. No one can get through to him. Jake. I really hope you know that Doctor Who is fake. Jake. There's more to life than Sherlock just to fight a new girl. Wait. No, there's not. Watch this show.
I'll keep this quick, but it's kind of a double up. I watched the first episode of The Gentleman on Netflix, which is actually a spin-off of a movie. They're both Guy Ritchie things. Netflix has the Guy Ritchie series, which just started in the last month or so. And then 4 years ago, like right before COVID or right when COVID hit, Guy Ritchie had this movie with Matthew McConaughey and a bunch of other, actors in it. That it's basically about British gangsters. That's kind of the setup of it, and marijuana pot farms. The movie itself was actually very fun. I watched that a couple nights ago, and just on its own, a standalone movie. A heck of a lot of fun if you like gangster movies, if you like British movies, if you like British gangster movies like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and that stuff like that. This is right in that vein, and it's absolutely perfect. And then I watched the first episode of the series, which just came out on Netflix, and it is a absolutely terrific first episode of a series. So I'll have to report more on it as we go through it, but did not disappoint at all. It's kind of, you do not have to watch the movie to get the show, and you do not have to watch the show to get the movie. They're very standalone in that respect. They're just kind of they're in the same universe, but kind of tangentially related. But both I thought very, very good if you like that style. So if you're someone who is waiting for the Peaky Blinders movie to come out or something like that, this is kind of like that, only in modern times and not post World War I. But very, very good. So The Gentleman, either the movie or the TV show. Secondly, you talked about watching your kids compete. I'm hoping I'll be able to watch one of my kids compete for the first time coming up this Saturday. Malcolm joined a track team, and now he's running around like a crazy person, and that may be happening for him. He's in 8th grade, and he joined a local Valley track team. And it's really funny because he went from being... What's up?
The All Valley track team?
Yeah, a local Valley track team. Yeah, it's not the one that Bill's kids were on, but it's another one that's here in the Valley. And it's not the All Valley tournament. Not yet, Mike. Not yet. But he went from being a little butterball about 2 years ago in COVID, and then he grew a foot and leaned out. Now he's 13 years old, and he looks like he's about 22, and he's built like a Greek god. Yeah, huh? What's up, Mike?
Violet is like a year and a half from being taller than me.
Yeah, it's insane.
I hate it.
But he's like chiseled out of stone now, but he has never actually, up until last week, gone to a real athletic practice. It's always just kind of goofing off with his buddies at recess. And so he went to his first practice, track practice last, I want to say Monday, and he came home and he's like, he didn't know any better, but he was so sore he could barely move because he never exerted himself like that. So now he's like adjusting, and I'm looking forward to seeing him run. It looks like he'll be he'll be competitive at it. So that's really kind of fun. And
then get to field events.
I have no idea what he's going to do at this point, right? He's only been to a couple practices, so he might be running some sprints. He might be running a relay. He might be, he looks like a. What's that?
Like, I'm talking about like discus or shot put.
Well, you've seen him, Mike. He looks like he could throw discus, but
exactly.
He hasn't got to that yet. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. It's all TBD. And so, but it is exciting to watch him do that. And then third, I'm sorry, I'll try to keep it short. But I put on the Slack channel that once again I'm pissed at my bachelor's alma mater, the Bruins. The reason for the show. We are great great Bruins here. Me and you, Mike. But gosh darn it, UCLA. I'm now 0 for 2 with daughters getting into UCLA, but it's okay. I'm not sweating it either. I got one at Berkeley, and now Molly got into pretty much every other school she applied to. And it looks like she will be, she got into a bunch of UCs, but it looks like now she's going to be a gaucho going to UC Santa Barbara, at least as of right now. So I'm very proud of her as well. Her generation, that year in particular, the ones who are seniors this year, in my opinion, were probably, along with, and we don't even know the results of this yet, but I think that like the kindergarten, first grade classes from a couple years ago, and I think the incoming high school classes from a couple years ago, that would be her. I really think they were kind of the hardest hit by all the problems with COVID and keeping them out of school and all this other nonsense that we decided to do, kind of spur of the moment a few years back. And so she's had I'm very proud of what she's accomplished in high school, but she kind of had to reset halfway through high school. And even with that, she got into, like I said, 4 out of the 5 schools she applied to, and she's going to go to the school that, other than UCLA, she wanted to go to the most. So I'm super proud of Molly, and it looks like I'll be, we'll be down for 2 sets of UC tuition for the next couple of years. So, gee whiz, support the What's Bruin Show, please. We appreciate your support. All right.
Shit, we do more work, don't we, Jake?
Yeah, sorry for all the...
Here's Violet, my oldest, she's going to high school next year.
Very exciting.
Woof. Yeah. So
strap in, Mike. Yeah, strap in and lock down.
Strap in.
All right.
Violet's going on. I did the same thing in 8th grade. She's going on in April her East Coast historical.
Oh, fun
class. Yeah. So I'm both thrilled and freaking frightened, man. I'm telling you. But,
hey, you should go along as a chaperone, Mike. You might end up in Philadelphia. Who knows?
I was thinking about.
All right.
Yeah,
Mike,
no,
we need to end this.
Wait, where are they going? No, New York and DC, which I just from a historical perspective, awesome. I love my trip.
Super cool. No, it's a great opportunity as well. All right, so Mikey, we'll be back next week to talk about how the women did, I'm sure, and we'll see what else we talk about. But until next time, Mikey. Oh yeah, look at the show notes for the Manhattan recipe. I really think it's a good one. And until next time, Mikey, what do we say?
Go Bruins.
Good evening.
Smoke them if you got them.
That was the What's Bruin Show.
Try us tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.
It's gotta be in or out, Mom. In or out. Well, I need the door closed.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Dude, Rob, we play some ball on the West Coast.
The final word is boob.